Hey all, and welcome back to another video. I'm Matt Shell, and this is Thousand Ant, where we give you Unity tutorials, devlogs, and indie game dev advice. In this episode, I'm going to do something a little bit different, which is to talk about something that has just recently happened in our Unity tutorial community, which is that the popular, kind of pretty central and legendary Brackeys YouTube channel has decided to stop publishing videos. Now, I think this is kind of a shocking thing for a bunch of us, and it's also just an interesting thing for us to talk about in terms of how companies and organizations and creators kind of grow and go through their life cycle. So let's check it out. It's probably worth setting a little bit of context here. So I have actually worked with Brackeys and the team there, and also worked closely with Asbjorn, the lead person of the Brackeys team, the person who many of us will think of as Brackeys himself, for a couple of years. I met him, I'm gonna say it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, in San Francisco at a community event that Unity organized. I was there representing the kind of internal content creators from Unity, and Unity brought a bunch of content creators from around the world to San Francisco to spend a week together, learn more about what Unity was doing, and also to kind of meet each other and get to know one another, which was a really cool initiative put together by Blaine Pascu, who was working on the community team at the time and has since left Unity. So I met him and his then girlfriend, Sophia, who was also, basically it was just the two of them running the channel together at that time. I really liked them a lot. I was already a fan of the work that they were doing, but getting to know them in person, just the kind of image that you get from them and their team on camera really is the way they are in real life. They're really lovely, humble, down to earth, and super smart and sharp folks. And so it was a real pleasure to get to know them. And then over the course of the coming years, as I became the head of the online evangelism group at Unity, I started to do some work more closely with them on some sponsored videos that Unity was doing. So Unity was sponsoring videos on their channel, and we were kind of collaborating with them to basically pick topics. And then I was also having weekly meetings with them to give them updates about what was going on at Unity, the roadmap, answer technical questions they had, and so on. So give them a kind of an inside access to the process at Unity to help them do what they were doing, because they were, at the time, the biggest Unity-focused YouTube channel. And one of the things that kind of gave me a front row seat for was the process of them going from basically Asbjorn by himself, which is what it was for many years. He then had Sophia get involved, and she was working, doing research and kind of production management, and I worked a little bit with her when it was basically the two of them. And then later, he brought in Andreas, and then Thea as an editor, and then Jesper as another content creator. Now, it's important to note, I consider all of them to be people that I'm friends with. I genuinely like them. I haven't been in close contact with them since I left Unity. We've sort of, had a few emails back and forth, but I haven't actually seen them or talked to them. I used to go visit them in Copenhagen at their office. So I don't have any secret inside information about why they decided to quit, right? But what I can offer is a little bit of perspective of what I saw for their growth, and knowing the people involved, what I kind of think may have happened. And I think, as Bjorn says in the video, it wasn't anything negative. There was no big drama. There was no big crisis, nothing like that. So I don't think, and I hope that they don't mind me talking about this, I'm not going to say anything scandalous or controversial, I don't think here. This is just kind of my, one step away perspective. But basically, this moment where Sophia took a step back from the team, and then Asbjorn was by himself, and then brought on Andreas and Thea and started to bring more people into the process, I think is when things started to change for them. They started to get bigger. This kind of starts to create a decision point, right? Are you going to try to scale up and grow? Are you going to sort of try to stay where you are, or are you going to step back and fade out or quit? And I think that Asbjorn kind of looked at the opportunity, which was a great opportunity for them. I know that there was definitely revenue coming in, that they were, doing relatively well financially. Some of that I had direct vision on because I was part of the team that was paying them from Unity. Money was coming in. They made a series of decisions. One was to open an office in downtown Copenhagen. I understand the motivation for this. working out of your house for years and years, and then especially if you're, they were working in their living room, and then you're working with your romantic partner, it's a hothouse, right? You're all in the same room, the same everything, all in the same space. So I understand the impulse to get an office, get out of the house, have a little bit of division between your professional and your personal life. But the thing that creates is an instant economic pressure. Real estate in Denmark is really expensive. I don't know what they were paying for that office. It wasn't anything super fancy, but it was in downtown Copenhagen. It was walking distance from the Unity office, and it was a piece of commercial real estate, a storefront, right? Not like an apartment or something. And so my assumption was that they were giving out some money for it. The combination of taking on a space and then taking on employees, right, which also kind of goes hand in hand, because a lot of the people that Asbjorn brought into the team were friends of his. But of course, you don't want all your friends working out of your house all day, right? It can be a little weird, especially like, you've got a partner and she probably wants to have her own life separate from the business. So there is a sense right there in having an office that you can now have your collaborators and your employees working out of there. But what has happened at that point is that you now have a relatively substantial outlay of cost that is going out every month, right? So now you have to do certain numbers, right? You definitely have to stick to your weekly upload schedule, which is a intense thing. Something that I think that people in the YouTube community talk about a lot, which is burnout for YouTubers. It may not be something that the kind of general viewing public is super aware of, but that cycle of releasing weekly, it's intense. You have to constantly be creating something. Something has to be in the pipeline. And YouTube is this very instantaneous, sometimes harsh feedback cycle, right? You're in this cycle of creating work, publishing it, getting feedback and data and reaction in this very tight loop. Now, on one hand, as a creator, this is really cool, right? It's really cool to be able to, I'm sitting here talking to my camera. In a few days, this is going to be edited. It's going to go out. I'm going to see comments coming back. I'm going to see view numbers. I'm going to see, is this performing relative to my other videos, right? But once that becomes your commercial livelihood, and not just your own livelihood, but now the livelihood of a group of young people that are your friends and that are depending on you, you can imagine that there is an element of pressure present there, right? And I remember when Asbjorn was on his continuing trajectory of scaling up, he was looking to hire another content creator. And I think this was because he was realizing that his role was really becoming a leader. He actually had to be the one leading the business and driving the strategy, not necessarily sitting there working in Unity, researching video topics, executing on every element of the work. And this can be a really painful transition point for a lot of us, especially those of us who kind of start as a creative, or even those of us who start maybe as a programmer or as a execution-oriented tradesperson, craftsperson who's used to saying, yeah, I sit here and I edit videos, or I sit here and I write, or I sit here and I write code. And now you have to move up and say, okay, I'm not actually really editing videos very much anymore, or recording or making Unity content. I'm actually working with a team of people and basically telling them what to do, how to do it, improve their work. And you get into this kind of mode of expression where you're expressing yourself indirectly. The way I think of it is you're kind of working with like robotic servo arms that only have a couple of fingers, right? You want to move your hand over there and just say, yeah, just make it like this. But you've got to do that through another person. And there's this kind of layer of indirection there that can be frustrating and difficult, right? And is in and of itself a skill, right? And this is kind of macro picture for any creator moving into a management role. It's hard. I've been through this myself. I've been through it actually multiple times in a previous career. I kind of made the transition from being a creator to management and then ran away from it. And then at Unity, I went back to being an individual contributor for a long time, making tutorials, and then ended up getting promoted again. Kind of not exactly what I wanted, but just the way things went, that I was asked to step up and lead the team. And then now at Thousand Ant, I'm doing something that's a mix, right? Here I am making these videos, but I am actually spending a lot of time on doing things like running our business and working with our clients, running our technical marketing agency, making content and demos and so on for other companies. I think that for Brackeys, this was a difficult transition. It can be a difficult transition for anybody, right? That's not a judgment about him. That's just saying it's hard to do that. I've found it hard. I think a lot of people find it hard. And unless you're someone who's kind of passionate about business and management and building systems of people working together, you may be like, oh man, I don't want to do all this stuff. I actually just want to make YouTube videos about Unity and work in the Unity editor. And as you grow and you start to have a team, well, you sort of can't do that, especially when people's livelihoods are on the line. So I think that was probably a little bit of a difficult process for him. And it's important to note, Brackeys started doing YouTube when he was 15. So he did it for 8 years, from 15 to 23. I remember a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, I guess, being at GDC with them, and him and Sophia were not old enough to drink, and we're sitting there and I'm thinking, holy cow, this guy has really come a long way, and he's not yet drinking age, which is 21 in the US. We're sitting in some like Brazilian steakhouse near Moscone Center, and it's like, oh no, we can't order alcohol for Brackeys, and thinking, whoa, so that's also just an incredible achievement for him and his team, right? That they came so far so fast at such a young age, right? And this is something I remember thinking, having conversations with him. We would be talking about stuff outside of work, talking about documentaries and other things that we were interested in, and just really having these great conversations, and then kind of stepping back and thinking, wow, actually I'm talking to a guy who's, I'm 41. I'm talking to a guy who's 18 years younger than me and who's just really super smart and on point and interesting to talk to. And I give him huge respect for that, but I think that's also a thing, right? Getting to that point, having all those people counting on you at that age, I can understand that he might want to say, hey, you know what? I did this. I achieved a lot. I want to take a step back. I want to focus on my personal expression, focus on my personal life, maybe start a family, whatever it is that they want to do, which is going to be hard when you're running a YouTube channel with 1 million subscribers, publishing on a weekly schedule, and go. Another thing that I think is important for a lot of people to think about, this is, again, a little bit more meta YouTube stuff, but if you are somebody who's doing a channel that's about you and your face, a little bit like what I'm doing here, right, with me on camera talking, that's difficult to scale, right? And that's actually a problem I have with this channel, is like, unless I sit here and record, sometimes Sam from Thousand Ant also makes videos, but it's mainly me, and unless I sit here and do it, the channel doesn't move forward, and it's pretty difficult for me to hand off to other people and say, hey, can you do this for a month while I go deal with my family or my health or whatever it is that I need to deal with. So there is that hardcore kind of single point of failure, treadmill, burnout factor aspect of YouTube that I think a lot of us who do this feel, and it's not a beautiful solution. One of the things that we're actually starting to talk about more here at TA is to have more other voices, other people contributing more to the channel so that we can keep up the weekly schedule, and I can also do other things and move around and not be as much of a single bottleneck for this. Those are kind of some thoughts and some background. I thought people might be interested. I know that I had a little bit of a front row seat to what was going on with them, and being a little older, I had a little perspective that I thought folks might be interesting to share. Again, huge shout out to Asbjorn and Andreas and Sophia and Thea and everybody over there. Love you guys. I love what you do, and I hope that me talking about this is cool or whatever. But I think that it's an interesting event in our space. I think there's a little bit of a lesson, right, that we can take from it, something to learn from in terms of the way that things happen and grow and what that means for people as individuals. Just want to say super thank you to Asbjorn for giving me the shout out in the video. That was really touching and kind. I was happy to see that there, and I was honestly super sad that moment where he turned out the light at the end. I was like, oh my God, it's kind of an end of an era, right? It's also an interesting moment for the Unity tutorial ecosystem, our little community here. There's a space now, right? Who's gonna be the flag carrier for beginner tutorials? We kind of positioned ourselves as being a little bit more intermediate and advanced, and a little bit more of this kind of talking and other stuff because Brackeys was there and doing a great job. With them not there, maybe we should start doing beginner tutorials. I don't know. It's an interesting one. So anyway, it's a little bit of a rambling story time, but I hope that you found it interesting. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy it, Don't forget to like and subscribe. Smash that like button. Drop me a comment down below. What was your reaction when you saw that video? Like, I even see people commenting on the Unity channel, like, now that Brackeys is gone, you're our only hope, right? How did you feel when you saw that? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, I really appreciate your spending a little bit of time with me, and I'll see you in the next video.